Another Good evening and welcome to frozen New Haven, Connecticut. I'm Paul Wasserman, joined tonight with Adlon Adams, bringing you live coverage of Yale women's hockey on Yale All Access as the Bulldogs welcome in the Rensselaer Engineers in another tight and tough ECAC matchup. Every game counts right now as the Bulldogs have only 5 games remaining until the end of the regular season. Right now the Bulldogs are sitting in 10th place with 8 points. We're going to take a look at the ECAC standings, see where the Bulldogs are sitting. I mentioned they're in 10th place right now, but they're only 3 points out of that 8th and final playoff spot, Adlon. You know, it's a magic number of 8. There's 12 teams in the ECAC. Only the top 8 make the playoffs. Right now, the Bulldogs in 10th, 3 points behind Colgate, who has 11 points. Princeton is also in between there, ninth place with 10 points right now. A win tonight against Rensselaer would catapult the Bulldogs back up into a tie for 9th place with Princeton. It's a big weekend for Yale, a weekend where they really need to come away with at least 3 points to try to continue their push towards the playoff. A tough Rensselaer team comes in right now. They're in 7th place in the ECAC with 16 points. They've just about wrapped up a playoff spot so far. They're coming in right now after a tough weekend. Last weekend, they tied Clarkson 1-1 and then fell to St. Lawrence 3-1, Adlon.
You know, Paul, this could be a doable game for the Bulldogs against Rensselaer. 7-9-2 in the ECAC is their conference. Bulldogs not so far behind, 3-12-2. Looking at last weekend, they actually lost 3-1 to Clarkson, number 6 in the country. Clarkson scored early in the first, early in the second. RPI scored late in the second to make it 2-1 for Clarkson. But Clarkson ended up finishing the game with a goal in the middle of the third period on the power play. RPI ended the game with 3 penalty kills and 6 power plays, so lots of special teams during that game. Then against St. Lawrence, they had a 1-1 tie. RPI scored early in the third on the penalty kill. Shorthanded, actually, kind of unseen normally in women's hockey. And then St. Lawrence scored early in the third to tie up the game. Looking at the players for RPI, they have a couple really good forwards. Taylor Horton, Grishaw, Smelker, all top scoring players. They also have 2 defense, Daniels and Golden, freshman rookie of the week in the ECAC.
Yeah. To go along with their sophomore goaltender, Kelly O'Brien. I think she almost had 60 saves last weekend between those 2 games. It's going to be a tough task for this Bulldog team. They come in a very short week. They had a game rescheduled because of that snowstorm on Tuesday. They went up to Hanover, New Hampshire, took on the Dartmouth big Green. They fell 4-2 up there. Jamie Leonoff finished with 45 saves. That's the 5th time this season she's finished with 40 or more saves. But again, in a losing effort for the Bulldogs. 9 days before that, however, they went up to Hamden, Connecticut, took on Quinnipiac Bobcats, the 4th-ranked team in the ECAC, and came away with a surprising 2-2 tie there. I think very few people thought the Bulldogs were going to come away with any kind of points there, so a good surprise for them. But one thing to note, Janelle Farrar, the second leading scorer on the team for the Bulldogs, is missed last game, and we don't expect to see a lot of action from her tonight. So we're going to take a quick break for the playing of the national anthem, but when we get back, Adlon, we're going to try to figure out where the scoring for the Bulldogs is going to come from. You're watching Yale All Access. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ingalls Rink. Paul Wasserman here with Adlon Adams. As I was talking about before we broke away for the national anthem, we don't expect to see that much play out of Janelle Farrar. So as a result, Coach Fleeg has had to adjust his top line. Tonight we were expecting to see Jen Matichuk, Danny Monsione, and Alyssa Zupon out there on that top line. But Adlon, where's this scoring going to come from right now?
Paul, I think it's really going to have to come from all over the ice for the Bulldogs. After having Farrar, we don't know if she'll be playing tonight. She's at the bottom of the lineup, maybe just sitting on the bench after she was injured in Quinnipiac. It's really going to have to come from all over. We have Ostrom, Kennedy, and Haddad on a line together. Pretty top-scoring line there. Haddad, 7 goals, 5 assists. Ostrom, 2 goals, 3 assists. And Kennedy, 1 goal, 1 assist. Also, you have Dunbar, Magali, and Decker, a line of juniors for the third line for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's interesting. The last 2 games against Quinnipiac and Dartmouth. In that Dartmouth game, Lynn Kennedy picked up her first goal of the season in only her 6th game back. Good offense coming from her to go along with Kate Martini's 4th goal of the season. In the Quinnipiac game, it was Hannah Ostrom who picked up her 2nd goal to go along with Paige Decker, who also got her first goal of the season. So already in the past 2 games, we've seen a lot of other people step up. Dunbar's been quite active the past few games. It was her shot, I believe, in that Quinnipiac game that was pushed wide that allowed Decker to get the goal in that game. As this one's now underway here at Ingalls Rink for a Rensselaer team, they had to travel 155 miles from Troy, New York, just outside of Albany, just to get here today. So we'll see, if that bus lag, I don't want to call it jet lag because they didn't fly here, but if that bus lag has anything to do with the way they come out of this game.
Paul, looking at overall records, at home the Bulldogs are 3-9, and on the road RPI is 4-9-1. So this could be a really interesting dynamic.
Yeah, another tough thing for the Bulldogs is the fact that they did have to play a Tuesday evening game against Dartmouth. They got back here early Wednesday morning, as that one's not properly cleared by Tomimoto. She pursues it up against Horton on the near boards. Wash now as it's finally cleared out of the zone. Dumped back inside, back behind Leonoff's net. But, for the Bulldogs, they've had a little over 48 hours to try to prepare for this contest. And as we mentioned, 5 games remaining, so every contest counts now. As Monsione carries it into the zone, a shot in on Kelly O'Brien. Wasn't sure where that one ended up, but eventually it found its way right onto her pads. First save of the game for Kelly O'Brien, and get a face-off to her right.
I'm really excited to see this first line of Matichuk, Monsione, and Zupon start to play together. As you saw Monsione carry down the far side. Zupon was open, backdoor. Monsione decided to shoot, given the angle that she had, but I could see some really good plays developing with this line.
Yeah, it's interesting. All season long, we've seen both Zupon and Monsione on different lines, both really playing the center position, but not the case here tonight. Zupon lining up as a right winger. We'll see how that back and forth can work tonight. As that puck back in behind Leonoff, a weird ricochet comes right back to her stick. She deflects it back to Kennedy. Kennedy tries to find puck back up to Ostrom, but couldn't quite get there. It goes right back to Kennedy, lost it off of her stick, and cleared back in the defensive zone for the Bulldogs by Mariana Walsh. Gray back behind the boards to Kennedy. Pursued by Walsh again, number 13. Took a deflection off of a couple bodies. Now it's just hanging out on neutral ice. No one's really got possession of it now as it comes out to Walsh. That shot just wide. Goes up to Dunbar now, who's able to corral it. Leaves it up to Magali, who sang the national anthem. She dumps this in for Decker. Decker's tripped up as she tries to hunt it down. Again, Decker got that goal 10 days ago against Quinnipiac. Her first goal of the season, and actually her first goal of the career now as a junior. So congratulations to Decker. Magali now back on the puck. Up against a couple RPI defenders. Back to Tomimoto. Tomimoto with a shot. It took a deflection off of Dunbar. Didn't make it to O'Brien as it's picked up now with Matichuk, who also has seen action on the front line. Back to Tomimoto. That shot again deflected. Took a deflection off of O'Brien's glove there right now early on. 3 minutes gone. Tomimoto's had a few good shots or passes that have been, taken a deflection and have been a little gnarly for O'Brien.
Watching Tomimoto coming off the blue line, RPI's defense collapses right in front of O'Brien. The Bulldogs will need to utilize all that open space on the outside to try and get a shot off.
You got to think that favors Tomimoto, though. We've seen her a number of times this season just dump the pucks inside the blue line into a lot of traffic, and good things have happened for her and for the rest of this Bulldog team. Right now, Tomimoto leading the Bulldogs in terms of assists with 10. I think that's right now tied for fourth most of any Bulldog in the last 4 seasons. So she's been on an absolute tear. Puck now controlled by the Engineers. Couldn't keep it on her stick. It's going to go all the way back to the Bulldog defensive end behind Leonoff. Gathered now with Gray. But an errant pass there is picked off by Horton. Comes with Martini on the near side. She goes down hard, but Montion there to clear it for the Bulldogs. Over to Ostrom. Took a deflection off of a Rensselaer skate. Martini now dumps this in on O'Brien. O'Brien does a good job getting her pads down and deflecting it. Ostrom in on the chase, loses her stick, gets it right back as fancy sit work there from Grushaw. Tries to create a clear for the Engineers. 4 minutes gone in this contest. The Bulldogs look to have a strong forecheck. They're not allowing this Engineer team to clear their defensive zone as that puck, Leonoff missed it, tried to get her stick tip, but instead goes all the way on the other side to Grushaw. Centering feed there, pushed aside by the Bulldogs, but right back to Rensselaer now. One right in front of Leonoff, pushed wide. A fantastic opportunity for Rensselaer, but couldn't convert. That was Sanders, the junior out of York, Pennsylvania. Had a wide open look on Leonoff, but fortunate for Yale, pushed that one wide. Tomimoto skates through center ice. It's 1 against 3 there. A shot in on Bryan. Glove down, and we're going to get a stoppage of play right now. 15:31 to go.
Another great play from defense by Tomimoto. If you look your screen at the instant replay, you will see a whiffed shot by Sanders right in front of Leonoff. Very dangerous play for the Bulldogs, allowing her to get so close into Leonoff.
Sanders 4 goals and 4 assists on the year, but couldn't get that 5th one there. That shot took a deflection off of Magali. Shot initially coming from Jamie Gray. Again, you mentioned it a couple minutes ago. That's where a lot of Yale action has been coming from the past few games. And this Rensselaer team loves to just put bodies in front of O'Brien. You got to think it plays to Yale's strength, especially for Gray, Tomimoto, Martini, as the puck's tied up on the near boards. Ferrara fighting for it. So we didn't know how much we'd see her play tonight, but already early on, she's in there as she wins the puck back for Yale. Tried to get it back to Murray, but couldn't keep the zone. Murray skates back, pursued by Walsh. Lost the puck now back to the Engineers. Walsh fights for it, but it comes back to Murray now as Walsh gathers it. It's 1 against 5 for Walsh. She's just going to dump this back behind Leonoff. Magali gathers, but gives it right off of her stick. That shot right into the glove of Leonoff. Good save from her, but off of a bad turnover for Yale. That was Taylor Horton, the captain, just took the puck right off of Magali's stick.
What a great stop by Leonoff, tracking that puck out of the corner, going right down the ice and making sure she didn't give up a rebound. Very important.
For Leonoff, 45 saves, this past Tuesday, puts her at a season-high total of 801 saves There's only one goalie in the entire United States that's better than her, and that goalie's played 5 more games than Leonov. She's been on an absolute tear. Here comes Matichuk into the offensive zone, loses her puck to Katie Daniels, the other captain for the Engineers. Near side with Wash, tries to clear the zone. She's able to do so, but it goes right back to Monsignor and the Bulldogs. Carried in by Matichuk as she loses her skate. Believe she tripped over the official on that far boards. Zupan goes down trying to fight for it. Matichuk goes down hard into the boards. Comes back to RPI. Near side with Smelker, pursued by Haddad. Did a good job. The Bulldogs have done a good job disrupting play as the Engineers have tried to go from defense to offense. Bulldogs have made that a lot more difficult than I'm sure Rensselaer would like. Smelker tied up behind Leonov. Comes back now to Ladon. This one goes all the way around to Banks. Bulldogs doing their best to not allow RPI to set up any sort of offensive possession now, as Kennedy was able to get it out of the zone but lost it right back to RPI. It's sort of been a back and forth game right now. Kennedy over to Gray. Off the boards, tried to find Haddad, but Lynn Kennedy in quickly. She is very quick out there. I've always been impressed with her speed. Now as Ostrom looks for a Bulldog, finds Tomimoto. Ostrom whiffs on that, but that diving shot by Kennedy, and it's right there into the back of the net. Score for the Bulldogs. Kate Martini off the rebound. Bulldogs up 1-0. A frenetic fight in front of the goal of Kelly O'Brien results in a fantastic score for the Bulldogs.
You know what, Paul? What a great start here early in the first period of play. The Bulldogs have really come out here. Martini just waiting in front of the net to put that puck home right off the rebound. Nice job keeping her stick on the ice and following up her own shot.
We see Martini actually got that first shot. O'Brien made the first save, and Martini followed it right back to get her 5th goal of the season. But that play all started with Lynn Kennedy. She was diving down and somehow managed to get a shot in on O'Brien. And just like that, we're taking a look at the statistics, of course unofficially right now, but the Bulldogs are up to a 6-1 lead in terms of shots, and that's resulted right now in a 1-0 lead. 12:48 to go here at Ingalls Rink. We're having a bit of difficulty with our scoreboard, but it is 1-0 for Yale. 12:42 remaining in the first period.
You know, Paul, looking at statistics for shots per game, RPI actually leads Yale 24.8 to 19.9 shots per game. So Yale's actually on top of it right now.
There's a deflection. Another big shot there for the Bulldogs. That one took a deflection. That one coming off of Dunbar's stick. As there's a hard push, a delayed penalty upcoming against Madison Marzario. She took down, was that Dunbar? She took her down pretty hard over there. Marzario is going to get 2 minutes for that penalty.
2 minutes in the sin bin. Down 1 goal. RPI now goes down a girl on the ice as the Bulldogs will now go up on the power play. The Bulldogs so far this season are 14.1% conversion rate on the power play. RPI is 81.6 on the penalty kill.
Good news for the Bulldogs. Past Tuesday up in Hanover, New Hampshire, they were actually 1 for 3 on the power play. So a little bit better than their meager 14% will indicate. Right now it's Monsignor and Haddad fighting for the puck in possession, but it's going to be Smelker not allowing the Bulldogs to control the puck for too long as it goes back with Tomimoto. Over to Martini. Cross ice pass finds Farrar, and Farrar has been out there much more than I think either you or I were talking about it in pregame. We really didn't expect to see her out here maybe at all, and she's out here playing, good solid minutes right now. She's on the power play for the Bulldogs. Farrar leaves it to Tomimoto. Over to Martini. Martini couldn't keep the puck on her stick. Haddad in for the fight. Interesting to note for Haddad, 5 of her 7 goals have come off the power play this season. Tomimoto. That shot took a deflection off of Monsignor. Couldn't quite get to O'Brien. Here comes Rensselaer, able to get the clear. It goes all the way back to Leonov. 58 remaining on the power play for the Bulldogs. Dunbar in off the bench. And we're going to get a stoppage of play, I think, for too many skaters on the ice for the Bulldog.
Oof.
That's just, it's just a lack of attention right there. I'm sure Coach Fleeg is kicking himself right now. Just too many players on the ice. It's an inexcusable penalty.
And you really hate to see that, especially when you're up on the power play. Not the smartest of plays. You see that goal again by Kate Martini. The Bulldogs ecstatic on the bench.
Yeah, it's a great start to this game, but this is a, sort of a damper to their fantastic start right now. As Ashley Dunbar is going to take a seat for 2 minutes for too many players on the ice right now. So for the next 47 seconds, it's going to be even strength 4-on-4. And an offsides call on Ostrom, I believe. So for the next 43 seconds, 4-on-4 play, followed by another minute and 6 seconds of power play action upcoming for Rensselaer.
We see Ferrara and Haddad at the top of the for the Bulldogs.
The dream team out there for the Bulldogs. I mean, they just have been playing so phenomenally all season long, and it's good to see them both out there so far here tonight. Rensselaer into the offensive zone, pushed aside by Leonoff. Leonoff's only been forced to make 2 saves in the early going here. I don't want to jinx that for her, but a bit of a rest as compared to Tuesday's game where she made 45 saves. There's a big shot there by Svoboda, just wide of Leonoff. Off the ricochet, finds Middlebrook, goes back behind Leonoff's net, and it's Kennedy to gather. 13 remaining here at 4-on-4 play. That pass deflected over to Gray. Up to Ferrara. And here come the Engineers with Wash, carries it into the offensive zone. That shot well wide. Shot coming from Smelker. It's going to be gathered by now with Gray. And the Bulldogs are now on the penalty kill for the remaining 53 seconds for the Bulldogs. They're at a meager 76% on the season, but that does not indicate just how phenomenal they've been since the second half of the season has started, really. I think they've killed the last 23 penalties that they've allowed. I think it dates all the way back a month ago. You have to go back to that Brown game, which was the last time they conceded a power play goal. Rensselaer trying to set up some sort of offense with Wash. Carries it through neutral ice into the offensive zone. Tomimoto does a good job getting back and disrupting that pass. Sanders couldn't keep the zone. It goes all the way back now to Marzario. Marzario was the one who was booked for that penalty on Dunbar. Smelker. That shot couldn't hit that one cleanly. Comes up by the blue line. A big wind-up shot there. Deflected. Took a deflection off of Sanders. Bulldogs able to get the clear, and we're back at even strength right now. 9:08 remaining in the first period. 5-on-5 play resumes here at Ingalls with Ostrom on the far side. Carries the zone. Taken away by Godin. Over on the near boards now with Marzario. Nifty little pass there. Finds a streaking Saunders through center ice. But again, the Bulldogs just making it very difficult for the Engineers to transition from their defensive zone through neutral ice into their offensive zone. Gray now over to Martini. Tries to get up to Ostrom. Neither team really able to establish any sort of prolonged possession. It's Walsh who carries it in the offensive zone. Looks to get a shot in, pushed aside by Leonoff. Did a good job moving to her right. Still with Walsh. Svoboda now just dumps this back behind. It's going to be Gray that sniffs it out. Haddad. Magali tried to get to it. Martini is able to get the clear, but again, right back to Rensselaer. Right now, all the Bulldogs seem to be able to do is to get it out of their defensive zone. We'll see if they can now try to sort of start some offensive possession. But a hard forward check from Rensselaer is going to make that impossible as they take the puck right back. Shot in on Leonoff, deflected by a defensive stick. Fighting for it right in front of Leonoff's net as it comes back to Rensselaer. Pushed aside by Leonoff. Good job sticking that one wide. 7:42 remaining here at Ingalls Rink in the first period. Bulldogs holding on to a 1-0 advantage off of the goal by Kate Martini, her 5th of the season. Right now it's Rensselaer with a couple dangerous opportunities, a couple shots, chances right there, right in front of Leonoff's net as Dunbar looks to break out for Yale. Got turned around, lost the puck. It's Decker who is able to keep the zone, allow the Bulldogs to get a much-needed line change. As that line was out there for the last minute or so, they must have been tired out of there.
Well, Paul, I don't think we've had a whistle in about 5 minutes.
And it's really just been Rensselaer dominating the offensive possession right now. They've done a good job catching up in shots. Bulldogs still clinging to a 7-5 shot advantage unofficially. Hard pass there from Kennedy. Stays with a Bulldog stick. Able to carry the zone. Shot wide there coming from the captain, Zupan, up to Tomimoto. Here come the Bulldogs trying to get something going on offense. Matichuk goes down again. No penalty called there. Svoboda able to clear the zone for the Engineers. Ill-advised pass there, comes right to Wash. A shot in on Leonoff, taken nicely into her chest protector. But that's the second time tonight the Bulldogs have given up a dangerous turnover right in front of Leonoff's net.
No, RPI is really on top of the passes and the interceptions. Very quick, very attentive where the play is going. Bulldogs need to be a little more aware of broadcasting where the next pass is going to go, especially in front of Leonoff.
Exactly. You know, if they can take that extra look up to see where that engineer defender is and be sure to not pass it right into her stick, that certainly is going to help the Bulldogs going forward. Mankey, who actually has another sister on the team. She's out injured tonight, so there's only going to be one Mankey out there tonight. Missy Mankey, the junior out of Coon Rapids, Minnesota. Cross-ice pass finds the stick of Ostrom. Nice one-time pass finds Haddad. Over to Lynn Kennedy. Tries to get a shot, and she's taken down. Another hard challenge there from the Engineers. No penalty called, but early on, this is quite a physical Rensselaer team. Jamie Gray tries to fight for it, loses her stick, gathers it back up now as it goes to the far side with Farrar. Farrar certainly doesn't look hindered at all by whatever injury she suffered in that Quinnipiac game. Walsh tries to chase it down, but Martini gets there first. Off the boards by the Yale bench. It's going to be Farrar who just sticks this one up into the offensive zone. Somehow manages to keep the zone and then loses it again just as I jinxed it. McGauley now in front of the announcing area. Back to Martini. Godin gathers now for RPI. Cross ice to Horton. McGauley gathers it. There's no one there for the Bulldogs. They're just going to get a change out. 5 minutes remaining here in the first period.
You know, Paul, we've seen lots of back and forth play here in the first period. Neither team really being able to set up in the offensive zone yet.
The Bulldogs, they came out strong that first 5 minutes. They looked very good. Got 5 quick shots. They got the goal. But ever since then, this RPI team seems to really have settled down right now. And unofficially, it's 7-6. Yale still with advantage, but only 2 shots coming in the last 10 minutes. Tomimoto able to hold on to the puck now as it goes over to Kennedy. Hard check coming from Horton, the captain for this RPI team. Strong pass finds Monsignor, but couldn't keep it onto her stick. Wash carries the zone now for RPI. Pass there to Svoboda, took a deflection off of Murray's skate. Shot in through traffic. Leonoff did a good job seeing that one. Was able to push that aside as it comes back now with Maddie Murray. Leaves it for Monsignor. Here come the Bulldogs. Took a deflection, but found the stick of Ostrom. Ostrom's seen a lot more playing time these last few games. She's been playing quite well. Obviously, she got that goal against Quinnipiac. Second goal of the season to go along with 3 assists. So here comes Lynn Kennedy, who streaks through neutral zone, carries it into the offensive zone. Tied up just as she was looking for a shot. Did a good job, Katie Daniels, that was, to deny that shot. Back to Tomimoto. Evades 2 defenders. Tries to go right back to Tomimoto. Couldn't quite get there. A couple sticks in the way between that pass. Aurora Kennedy in to try to win it back for Yale. As now it's Daniel who's going to go cross ice, but Haddad is in there. Goes back now with Tomimoto. Just inside the blue line. Not shot. Took a deflection off of Lynn Kennedy's stick. This time didn't make it to O'Brien. And here comes RPI on the breakout. Tried to catch Yale in the midst of a change, but instead RPI is just going to dump this back behind Leonoff and get some fresh skates on the ice. RPI again causes a turnover right in front of Leonoff. Leonoff out strong and makes the save. Probably her best save so far of the evening. She came out quite aggressively and cut down that angle. And again, this RPI team creating those turnovers deep in their own offensive zone. We see it now on replay. Leonoff out strong. Does a good job getting her glove on that. A big save from her. 2:42 to go in the first period. Bulldogs still holding on to that 1-0 advantage that they got just 5 minutes into this game. That shot gloved aside by Leonoff. Couldn't keep it in her glove. Did a good job sticking away the rebound.
You know, Paul, when we talked to head coach Fleeg, he always makes a point to emphasize how aggressive Jamie Leonoff plays, and it has worked to her advantage so far this season.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Adlon. The only time he indicated that maybe she was a little bit too aggressive was when the Bulldogs were on the penalty kill, but really, in this last month, they haven't conceded a power play goal, so clearly Leonoff and the rest of this Bulldog team have been doing something right. The Bulldogs on the season allowing 2.92 goals per game for Leonoff, 2.85 per game. Her save percentage is good for 11th in the nation at .924. That shot pushed wide. Rather, in the second half of this season, since December, Leonoff's save percentage has been up at .934. So really, she's just been on a huge tear for the last month and a half. That centering feed goes all the way back to Leonoff. Does a good job just gloving it down. And we're going to get a face-off upcoming to her left. 2:04 to go. Paul Wasserman here with Adlon Adams. Yale All Access live coverage of one of the last 5 remaining games here for the Bulldogs. 4 of the 5 are here at Ingalls Rink. The next 4 or 3 after tonight are all here at Ingalls Rink. We're going to give you live coverage of all those games as this Bulldog team in the fight to try to make the playoffs. It's a huge relief, for those of you that watched last year. But at this point in the season, Bulldogs weren't quite in that fight for that 8th and final playoff spot. Not the case here tonight. Not the case so far this season, as they have been putting up a valiant effort all season long, remaining in the hunt. Rebound off the backboards, ricochets almost all the way up to Leonoff. Tomimoto goes down hard into the board. She's back up. Now as a sick puck comes to Dunbar, just pushes it off the boards. Over with Daniels and RPI. That pass couldn't find the stick of an engineer, and it's sniffed out by the Bulldogs with Magali. Tried to get it up to Dunbar, but couldn't quite get there. That puck goes right off of the glove of Murray. She just put her hand out, tried to deflect that off of her body. This RPI team, one reason why I think they're getting a lot of turnovers in the Bulldog defensive zone is that they really have a size advantage against this Yale team. A number of the players for RPI, 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", even 5'11", and they're using their size so far just to bully this Bulldog team into a few, ill-advised turnovers. That shot there took a deflection hard as another wind-up shot there by Daniels. Redirected there into the back of the net. 48 seconds to go, a little squibbler, and I believe that was Grushaw who was able to get it off of the deflection and push it just wide of Leonoff.
It looks like it was shot from the point by Daniels, and Mankey was the one to put it in off the tip. Mari Mankey out of Coon Rapids, Minnesota. Great positioning by her, able to stick her stick out, get something on it, and just went right over Leonoff. Those are the toughest for a goalie to save, ones where she can't predict where the puck's going to go off the stick.
Leonoff moving in one direction to make the save off the shot. Not expecting that redirect by Mankey. And unfortunate for the Bulldogs, they were just 42 seconds away from the end of this period. Right now, 35 seconds to go. It's back to a 1-1 tie. Both teams, I think, are going to just try to get back into the locker room. It's really been a back and forth first period. The Bulldogs came out storming, took the first 5 minutes, took the first goal, but ever since, it's really been this RPI team skating to their full strength, and you have to think they really have deserved that goal. They had a few good opportunities, and while that was a tough goal to concede for the Bulldogs, they have 11 shots so far, and they've had a few quality opportunities in on Leonoff.
Looking at overall stats, Yale scores the most goals during the first period, and they kind of trail off in the second and third, whereas against their opponents, scoring to their opponents tends to increase as the game goes on. So the Bulldogs will have to be really on top of not letting this RPI team get more shots, because that's where the goals come for the Bulldogs, is late in the third.
And with that in mind, the Bulldogs are going to head into the locker room. Got 15 minutes to try to get ready for the second period. We're going to take a 10-minute break here for Yale All Access. We'll be back with 5 minutes to go to break down what we saw in the first period, give you a little more advice on what the Bulldogs need to do to come out strong in that second period. You're watching Yale All Access. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ingles Rink. Paul Watson. Sorry about that. I thought we had audio before you could see me. Not that it really matters. The only thing that's really changed is the fact that I put on a tie instead of a bow tie because I look like a clown when the bow tie travels up and around. So the tie is the only thing different here at Ingles Rink right now. With Adlon Adams, I'm Paul Wasserman. We're 3 minutes and a half away from getting the second period started in a tight contest between the Bulldogs and the Engineers. It's a 1-1 game after 20 minutes of play. Kate Martini getting the lone goal for the Bulldogs. She finishes the period with 4 shots on goal to go along with 7 total shots for this Yale team. On the other side, Rensselaer finished with 11 shots. They came on strong after conceding that first early goal, and really towards the end just put a lot of quality looks in on Leonoff. And thoroughly, you have to say they really deserve at least 1 goal from that period, Adlon.
No, I think the Bulldogs have put in a lot of really good work here in the first period, and I do have to say, you look really good in the tie. You do look good in the bow tie.
You're going to make me blush, and we're in HD, so now everyone can see it. Great,
everyone can see. The Bulldogs did deserve that goal. Little bit of breakdown on defense on RPI's goal, unfortunately, for the Bulldogs. But later in the first period, we saw a lot of back and forth down the ice, as you were talking about, lots of turnovers, Bulldogs sloppy on their passes, lots of interceptions. Yeah,
so the good news from that, though, is that there's a lot of areas that the Bulldogs can improve on going into the second period. I'm sure Coach Fleeg is stressing much of what you just said. You know, if you can clean up those areas, this Bulldog team looked very good the first 5 minutes out there. If they can keep that kind of play up for the next 40 minutes or so, or rather this next 20-minute period is absolutely crucial for this Bulldog team. If they can stay in it, they have a very good chance here tonight. As I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, we're doing the math. I'm sitting in class during this week. It was a shortened week. I only had 3 days of class, but I'm sitting in class doing the math, trying to figure out how this Bulldog team can make it to the playoffs. They really need at least 3 points this weekend, so they need a tie and a win. They have Union coming in here tomorrow night. Union, I think they've lost 9 straight. They're in last place. The Bulldogs need to beat them. They need to get at least a tie here tonight. Right now, they're sitting at that tie 1-1 after a very active first 20 minutes of play. Adlon, you're going to run us through these highlights right now.
All right, and as you look at your screen, we'll have some highlights from the first period. Couple of shots and goals as a miss by Sanders on Leonoff's net. Another shot and save by Leonoff as the Bulldogs look to get their first goal here. Martini with a shot deflected by O'Brien right back on her stick, and that'll go in the back of the net for the Bulldogs halfway through the first period. Now looking, we have a shot on Leonoff by RPI. A couple missed shots there as Leonoff is easily able to save those. Shot from the point, tipped by Mary Mankey right in the slot area.
Sort of an unfortunate goal for the Bulldogs to concede, but right now it is 1-1. We're taking a look at the bench of the Bulldogs. They're about to come back out onto the ice, a minute 15 away from getting the second period started. You saw it on the highlights, which, golly, I love having highlights. It makes our job so much easier because instead of us trying to recap what we saw out there, we can see it live. I don't have to do anything, basically. It's fantastic, great donation, HD equipment, instant replay, all in honor of Mandy Schwartz.
That was donated by Steve Kushner, class of 71.
Great tag team effort right there. Big shout out to him. We take a look, though, at the shot breakdown, which we have up here in the booth for the Bulldogs. They got 4 shots right in front of O'Brien's net. O'Brien's looked a little bit shaky with all that traffic in front of her net. You mentioned it during that first period. This Rensselaer team likes to really compress in and just clog up the slot with a lot of bodies. It hasn't really worked towards their advantage so far in that first period. We'll see if the Bulldogs can continue to try to exploit that with Tomimoto, Martini, and even Gray getting some shots in from just inside the blue line.
Well, then on the other end of that, RPI putting traffic in front of Leonoff has paid off with the tip on their goal.
I mean, that's the only way you're going to really beat Leonoff. She's been fantastic all season long, here tonight as well. You need some quirky way like that off of a little tip to just have that one squirt right by her. As the second period of play is underway right now, we took a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. After 1 period of play, Dartmouth up over Colgate 1-0. Clarkson over Princeton also 1-0. So those are 2 big games the Bulldogs are going to want to keep an eye on. Obviously, they need to take care of business here first, but up here in the booth, we can keep an eye on those games all night long. Obviously, for the Bulldogs, those are 2 good scores to have, both Colgate and Princeton sitting ahead of Yale for that 8th and final playoff spot. That pass deflected by Matichuk in behind O'Brien's net. And in men's hockey action, Yale up 1-0 over Union. That's a big lead for the Bulldogs. You hope they can kind of try to hold on to that as they've been on a 2-game losing streak right now. They've fallen to 10th in the nation. For a team that was, I think, ranked as high as 5th, they're going to try to get back up into those high, try to get at least a top 4 place in the ECAC and get that first round bye. As Horton skates through the Yale defense, finally a deflection by Gray at the last possible moment. Rather, that was Walsh, who just skated right through this Bulldog defense.
Looking at the shot chart from the first period, the Bulldogs have kept RPI out to the sides, out of the slot area, except for that tip on straight-up shots. Yale's defense doing a really nice job of pushing to the outside on the offensive rush.
That pass could not be controlled by Mankey. Goes off the boards now, evades the official. Up in neutralized, trying to be taken by Andy Ladon for the Rensselaer Engineers. It's Ostrom in for the battle as well. Decker in on the chase. McGauley now right in front of the Rensselaer bench. As it comes now with Decker, who carries it into the offensive zone on the far side. That shot pushed aside by O'Brien. Good job using her stick there. Back now fighting for it is Decker. As it comes up now to Mankey. The goal scorer for the Engineers off of that very good tip, you have to say, able to just redirect it for her 5th goal of the season.
Definitely a game-changing play by Mankey to tie up this game. Essentially now, both teams even.
Yeah, you just eliminate 20 minutes of play. It's 40 minutes to go right now. It would have been huge for this Bulldog team, and it goes unsaid. Had they gone into the locker room up 1-0, that would have been great for their, just for their mentality going forward for the final 40 minutes. But that being said, Bulldogs have a lot to take away from that first period, and they've come out fairly strong here in the first 2 minutes of play. We're still having a bit of technical difficulties with our score line, so no score line there, but it is 1-1, 17:41 remaining to play here in the second period. We'll periodically update you as to the time remaining. Or in my case, I'll do it all the time. That's seemingly my favorite thing to say. So don't fear, you don't need a scoreboard. Paul is here. Ostrom in on a hard forecheck, tries to take it away. Couldn't get there as it comes now on the near side with Mariana Walsh. Carries it through neutralize, evades Aurora Kennedy, but Haddad back to win it back for the Bulldogs. Walsh now. Couldn't quite handle it with Sanders. It just got stuck on her skate a little bit too long. Tried to get it up to her stick, but couldn't get there. That puck took a deflection off of Lynn Kennedy. No icing call there. As here comes Sanders and the Engineers. It's just Sanders, and she's going to dump this back behind Leonoff and hop off the ice as here comes Tomimoto and the Bulldogs up ice to Haddad. Haddad does a good job evading her defender now as it goes over with Kennedy. Through centralized, not an ill-advised pass there trying to find the other Kennedy. That time it was Lynn. Couldn't quite get to her. Haddad whiffed twice on the pass, just taken off of her stick by Horton. Carries the zone for RPI, pursued by Tomimoto. Tomimoto has been just such a rock on defense all season long. Then Kennedy dumps this into the offensive zone. Over to Daniels now, through center ice, tried to find the stick of her captain, Horton, but couldn't quite get there. And there's going to be a stoppage of play now. And we're going to see, I believe, a Bulldog headed to the penalty box. Didn't quite see what happened, or rather, no, just a stoppage of play.
There's no penalty.
Losing my eyesight up here.
16 minutes left in the first.
That pass went off the back of Leonoff's net. Scooped up now by Mankey, pursued by Murray. Goes down hard in the boards. Comes up to Decker. Decker is able to get that puck out of the zone for the Bulldogs. Stays with RPI on possession. That puck goes all the way up. McGauley lost that in the lights. It came down right to her right. As Godin skates away with the puck as it goes up to Mankey. Cross ice pass. Couldn't get the stick of Grushaw. But Grushaw very tough on the fight. Trying to get it back for Grushaw, the leading scorer for this RPI team with 22 points, 12 assists, and 10 goals.
It's a nice play by Zupont, getting that icing call weighed off by going down on the red line and tipping the puck into the zone.
A dangerous play right there. RPI almost lost the puck to Zupont. She was almost able to get that right in front of O'Brien's net. Instead, it goes all the way back now to Leonoff, out of her net to stop it. Tomimoto, good pass from her, goes off the skate a little bit too hard off of Monsione. Skates in though and takes it right back. Now to Tomimoto on the far side. Carries it into the zone, pursued by LaDawn. She dumps it back behind O'Brien's net. It comes back to Monsione. Martini now couldn't quite keep it on her stick. Martini really the offensive player of the first period. 4 shots, 1 goal for her. Very active, as there's going to be a penalty upcoming now. 14:25 to go here in the second period.
And it looks like team captain Katie Daniels out of Rockton, Illinois will be heading to the sin bin here in Ingalls.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to note for this Rensselaer team. They average, I believe, 10 penalty minutes per game. That's good for 10th in the nation. So, just over 5 penalties per game. 2 so far here tonight. Bulldogs are going to need to try to capitalize on it. They were 0 for 1 on that first power play. Obviously, they had too many skaters on the ice. That shot deflected wide by O'Brien. They had too many skaters on the ice during their first power play and actually went down a man after 45 seconds. Now they're going to try to get something going on offense. So it comes now with Lynn Kennedy. Centering feed there, picked off by RPI. Couldn't clear the zone. Nice job by Aurora Kennedy to keep it in the zone. She goes down and just loses the puck there. Tries to skate out of trouble, finds Dunbar, who carries to the zone. 1:27 to go on the power play. Over to Ostrom. As Tomimoto just got in off of the bench. Dunbar over to Lynn Kennedy. Now to Tomimoto. Back to Lynn Kennedy. Tomimoto again looked for a shot, instead goes back to Ostrom. That centering feed couldn't find the stick of Zupan. It's now picked up by Lynn Kennedy. Back behind to Tomimoto, 1:03 remaining on the power play. Tomimoto faked the shot, as did Monsione. Back with Tomimoto. This one took a deflection well before it got to O'Brien, and that clearance off the board goes up and all the way back to Leonoff.
Bulldogs did a nice job of initially setting up the play, but need to find each other's sticks in front of the net in order to capitalize on those chances.
Another clear by RPI, but goes right back to the Bulldogs and Haddad. 38 to go. The Bulldogs have yet to get a shot in on O'Brien on this power play. Middlebrook chases it down for RPI. Does a good job evading Haddad, but Monsione in hard on the double, trying to get this puck back, trying to get something going. 22 remaining on the penalty. Grushaw in on the chase. Takes down Martini. Because now it's comes to Magali. Picked up now with Farrar. 8 to go on the power play. Farrar loses it, and it's just going to skate right back off the ice. As we're back at even strength right now, 12:24 to go here at Ingalls Rink. 1-1 game. Bulldogs couldn't muster a shot on that power play. Dunbar in on the chase, able to keep it away from RPI. Cleared up now to Gray. Chased by Horton, finds Decker, sitting right inside the bench of the Bulldogs. Goes all the way back behind O'Brien. Dunbar fights for it. As that puck finds Gray. Gray's got some space. A shot there, took a deflection off of Decker. Couldn't get in on O'Brien. Decker was in a good position to get that deflection.
Seen a lot more intensity from the Bulldogs in front of the net, Paul.
Yeah, that last 2 minutes, while they couldn't get a shot in on O'Brien, they did a better job establishing offensive possession and establishing themselves in front of O'Brien's net. So, the small positive like that, it looks like it's carrying over from that power play. As Matipchuk in on the chase, couldn't get there in time. Over now with Mankey. Goes out of the zone for the Bulldogs and back to Kennedy. Reestablishes the zone but loses it right back, and just onto the ice is Tomimoto. She's going to evade her defender very nicely. Tomimoto in on O'Brien. Took a deflection off of the stick of a RPI defender. It remains with Tomimoto back on the far boards. Nifty play by her, carrying it into the offensive zone herself and getting in right on O'Brien. And for that deflection off of the defender's stick, she could have had a nice look in on O'Brien. Instead, now it's RPI back on the offensive possession. That shot deflected by Tomimoto, bouncing right in front of Leonoff's net. This one pushed wide of Leonoff's net. Tied up on the near side with Svoboda. Svoboda and Kennedy going after it. It's going to be Svoboda that wins it for RPI. Horton now, that pass picked off by Monsione. Here come the Bulldogs out on a break. It's Monsione now taking it to the far boards. Is just going to dump this back behind O'Brien. 10-12 to go here in the second period in Ingles Ring. Still a 1-1 game. Shots still at 8-11 in advantage for RPI. That one right in front of Leonoff. A couple players go down. It's going to remain with RPI on the far side. Dangerous feed there. Couldn't find the stick of anyone, and skitters all the way on the near side. Sort of just hacking at it right in front of the bench of Rensselaer right now. Each team just trying to dig it out of the boards. Lynn Kennedy and Haddad in there, able to win it for Yale. Over to Gray. Up to Ostrom, who leaves it now for quickly pursuing Lynn Kennedy. Couldn't get there in time. She's quite quick, but couldn't get there in time. Mariana Walsh now for RPI. Grushaw carries it into the offensive zone. It's Murray on the check. That shot pushed aside by Leonoff. Big rebound, but no one there to claim it. Dunbar goes down, trying to hunt down that puck.
You know, Paul, looking at the Bulldogs, you can't really tell that they've had 2 days off of school. They played a game on Tuesday night. I mean, from my side as a student, I got pretty lazy with those days off of school. It's pretty impressive that the girls were able to go to practice and keep up their energy levels over such a slow period of time.
Yeah, I mean, through now 32 minutes of play, they've looked quite good out there. It's how they're going to finish the final 30 minutes of play, as right now they're going to head back on the penalty kill. This penalty upcoming against Macaulay. The second of the night for this Bulldog team. They're now 24 of 24 on their last 24 penalty kills. We'll see if they can keep that magic streak going here. 8:48 remaining in the second period, but you're right, they look quite active and out there right now. Whenever they get a turnover, they're sprinting out, trying to get numbers. Hasn't quite worked out so far tonight, but that intensity certainly is there.
This will be RPI's first power play of the night. I believe that was a checking call on Macaulay.
That shot nicely gloved out of the air by Leonoff. Looks like a catcher in softball did a good job just snaring that one out of there.
Great play by Leonoff. If you watch that shot and save it yet again on your instant replay, Leonoff just flicks her wrist out there, easily catching onto that shot.
Forced to make 12 saves so far here tonight. A much lower total has been demanded of her than Tuesday night's game against Dartmouth, obviously, but still up to the test. Not growing lazy or complacent at all in the few minutes of inaction that she has had so far in this game. Wash now. Over to Godin. Godin looked to get a shot on. Instead elected to go back to Wash. Wash carries it in. That shot. Good job by Leonoff getting her leg down and pushing that one aside. That shot coming from Smelker, number 19. Horton now back over to Smelker. Thought about the shot, instead goes back over to Godin. Leonoff tried to get that one out of the air, but probably wisely elected not to lunge at that one. Shot couldn't quite get there. Martini in the midst, but a rebound goes back to Leonoff. Heads up play from her as that one took a deflection off of the skate of a player and went right back to Leonoff, but she was up to that challenge yet again.
You know, Paul, looking at RPI, they don't really have anything special that's differentiating them right now. I mean, they have three top scoring leaders on their team, lots of points, but it's not like they're playing Harvard right now where the whole team has points.
Yeah, there's a couple players out there that, have the scoring capability right now. Taylor Horton, 3 power play goals on the season. Alexa Grushaw, 4 power play goals on the season. But yeah, they've very concentrated scoring ability so far. The Bulldogs just need to try to shut them down and not give up a quirky deflection like they did with Mankey. That shot pushed aside by Leonoff through a lot of traffic. There's one of the dangerous plays where anything can happen. Somehow Leonoff was in the right position with her leg to push that one wide. 13 to go on the penalty kill for the Bulldogs, able to get the clear and some fresh legs on the ice. Two seconds to go, and the Bulldogs successfully have killed off their second penalty kill of the night. Back at even strength with 6:42 remaining here in the second period. the second period has really just flown by, characterized by one penalty for the Bulldogs and one penalty for RPI. Neither could capitalize on either end, but it's just been back and forth. Neither team really establishing themselves on the offensive zone.
I mean, looking at the power play and penalty kill conversion rates, as we were talking about earlier, the Bulldogs and the Engineers are really pretty even on both of those. Bulldogs 14.1 on the power play, RPI 14.2, very, very even on the power play.
Yeah, so it's a question of if one of these two teams can gain the edge on the power play here tonight, you really got to think that that's going to be the difference between a win and a loss for either team, as Horton wins it back for RPI. Evades the official is Svoboda. Horton fighting for it with Magali. Good hard fight coming from her. Tomimoto now over to Murray. Finds Magali. She's got some space. Gets it up to Matichuk. Carries it through neutral zone into the offensive zone right now for Yale. That shot took a deflection. Went back behind O'Brien. Matichuk in on the chase. It's going to be held up by Brandy Banks. Zupan in as well for the Bulldogs. And we're going to get a stoppage of play. I didn't see exactly for what, but with 5:32 to go, the RPI Engineers have skated out to a 16-8 edge in terms of shots.
I don't know if you saw that, Paul, but you can see Zupan smile on camera. She just has the biggest smile there. You can tell she just loves to play hockey.
Zupan's going to remain on the ice for the Bulldogs along with Monsione, who takes the faceoff. It comes back to Zupan, the captain. Finds Matichuk. Martini and Gray, the other two skaters on the ice for Yale. Matichuk pushed into the boards by Godin. Gets it now to Zupan. Back to Matichuk. Couldn't get her stick down in time. Matichuk right in front of O'Brien. A big chance for the Bulldogs. Zupan got that shot, but a deflection from an RPI defender. Here comes RPI on the breakout. That's Grushaw now. Pursued by Monsione. No call there for either team. It's tied up by Martini. A push off on Martini by Wash. As Monsione skates out of there alone. It's 1-on-2. Tries to get in on O'Brien. There's a good backhand shot from Monsione. Pushed up and over the crossbar by O'Brien.
What a play by Monsione. If that had gone in, that would have been on the highlight reel. She pulled the puck across her body and just flicked that one, looking for the upper corner.
This shot took a deflection. Pushed wide. Shot coming from Mankey. Through center ice up to Ushram. Ushram couldn't get all of her weight behind it, but able to deflect it enough to find Haddad. Haddad runs into the official. Here comes Walsh and RPI. It's Kennedy, though, who gets back in time to win the puck back. Up to Lynn Kennedy. Through neutral ice. Carries the zone, but loses it immediately right back to RPI. But Haddad in the right position. Looks to get a centering feed. She does to Dunbar, just wide of that post. Couldn't have been more than a few inches on the wrong side of that post for Dunbar. Now with Haddad, looks to get another centering feed there. She does, but couldn't get to the stick of Lynn Kennedy. But a couple dangerous feeds from Haddad this last possession for the Bulldogs.
Bulldogs right now are playing like they are up on the power play. They're moving the puck very, very well.
That last chance coming from Maddie Murray, centered it into Lynn Kennedy. A lot of traffic for Kennedy, but able to hold strong and get that deflection, which finally O'Brien was able to clamp down on. 3:37 to go. Bulldogs putting up a fight here. Those centering feeds from Haddad are certainly nerve-wracking for both O'Brien and for us up here in the booth. A couple good opportunities for the Bulldogs. Wash couldn't keep that puck on her stick. Comes now to Horton, pursued by Murray. Wash, as well as Decker in there as well. Svoboda comes away with it. Now Horton's got some space. Takes it in right on Leanoff. Big save from her. Horton again comes back with it. Now to Wash. Over to Banks. It's now found Svoboda. Horton now over to Wash again, this time on the near side. RPI tries to keep the zone. Able to do that. Deflection off of a Yale skate. It goes back to Murray. She's pursued by two RPI defenders. Gets it up to Decker. Is able to get the clear, but nothing more as Svoboda comes away with it. Matichuk, very heads-up play from her. Saw that puck squirt out, and she hurdled after it. Almost got there in time and said couldn't get there and just took a seat. We're getting an icing call now. 2:16 to go, second period. 1-1 game. This puck's going to go all the way back right in front of O'Brien's net. Bulldogs have looked quite active the last 3 minutes or so.
Not too many fans here at Ingles tonight, Paul. Looks like people aren't really up for cold and trying to trudge through the snow again to get all the way up here.
It's a tough walk. You know, it's a rare time when New Haven County is the center of any snowstorm, but that's what was the case last weekend. We got over 3 feet of snow. There's still a ton of it out here on this Friday night, and you're right, just not enough fans out here tonight.
I'd be surprised if the airports were even open yet. I'm sure all you parents out there are eager to see how your girls are doing.
The good news is RPI was able to make the drive from Troy, New York today. The roads are up and looking pretty decent. As Zupan and Monsignor fights for it on the near side. Couldn't get it in time. Daniel comes away with it. Up now to Mankey. It's going to be a 2-on-5. She just dumps this back. Finds Martini. Couldn't quite keep the stick of Lynn Kennedy. Now 1:23 remaining. In what has been a very quick second period. At least that's what it's felt like to me, at least. Just not a lot of stoppage of plays. As Ostrom tried to turn with the puck but lost it. Took a deflection as it tried to get to Walsh. It's going to be Sanders who skates through neutral zone, carries the blue line, but not before her other teammate got there right before, and we get an offsides call. 1:01 to go. Rensselaer up 18-12 in terms of shots, but when it really matters, it's still 1-1.
The tight call by the official on that offsides in favor of the Bulldogs.
1 minute left to play in the period.
Within 1 minute before the end of this second period of play, the Bulldogs, while not getting a goal so far in this period, have done a good job, keeping themselves in it right now and just not going away against a very tough RPI team. Wash comes away with it now, pursued by Martini. Leaves it to Horton. Horton goes against Tomimoto. Now as it's with Svoboda. Big wind-up shot there, took a deflection. Big leg save from Leonoff, goes out wide. She's done a good job all night long making the big saves and doing an even better job pushing the rebounds wide as she's takes another shot there. It goes right under her leg pad and somehow is able to corral that against the ice, get a stoppage of play before it leaked loose. 12.7 to go. Rensselaer, they look very tough in the final few minutes of play in both periods. Bulldog team needs to watch out.
Dodd and Martini were not having any of that in front of Leonoff. They were pushing those RPI girls well out of the slot.
We got 12.7 to go here. Ingles Rink before the end of the second period. The Bulldogs are going to try to get into the locker room. Still in a 1-1 game. It's been a tense last 10 seconds or so, but Leonoff keeping the Bulldogs knotted at 1. And with that clear, the Bulldogs have been able to get into the second period intermission. Still in a 1-1 game. A back-and-forth game characterized by a penalty for both teams. Got a couple of good looks. We see an attempted shot there for Yale. Took another big deflection. I'm interested to see when we get the report how many shots of Yale were deflected. There's certainly a number of them. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and we'll be back to break down the second period, going to the final 20 minutes of play here at Ingles Rink. For Adlon Adams, I'm Paul Wasserman. You're watching Yale All Access. Welcome back to Ingalls Rink. Paul Wasserman alongside Adlon Adams. We're about 5 minutes away from starting the third and final period of play between the Bulldogs and the Rensselaer Engineers. They're locked in a 1-1 battle. That second period didn't see a lot of action from either side. Just more of the same that we saw from that first period. A lot of back and forth play. Neither team really able to really establish themselves in the offensive zone. One thing that did change for the Bulldogs, you talked about it in that first intermission, Adlon, was that the Bulldogs were doing a good job of keeping the shots off to the side and away from Leonoff. Not the case here in the second period. I think 5 of the shots that the Engineers were able to muster came straight down the pipe right at Leonoff.
Yeah, Paul, and looking at, you were talking about earlier, the blocked shots, Yale has 11 blocked shots total, RPI 8, so both teams' defense have done a nice job getting bodies in front of the shots from the point. Yeah,
for the Bulldog team, they were only able to muster 4 shots in on O'Brien. There in the second period. They got 5 of those shots in the second period blocked by defenders. This Rensselaer team and increasingly this Bulldog team, you're right, have just been consolidating in. I think both teams are very, hesitant to commit themselves forward a little more. I think both teams realize how important this game is.
Definitely, as it is still 1-1 going into the third period. We will now look at some highlights, so to say, of some aggressive play by both teams. We've had 2 penalties by each team so far. So you can see that Dunbar and Haddad getting feisty in front of the net, not letting RPI anywhere near Leonoff. Nice job on defense. I mean, Matichuk gets taken out in the corner. Little scrum there. There's a hard hit on Haddad. That actually resulted in a penalty on RPI. Looking now on the near side corner, Martini gets into it with an RPI girl. She just rips her glove right off her hand.
Yeah, that was Lauren Walsh, number 10. She's 5'4", so really I was going to make the point that this RPI team, very physical, very aggressive. They have a lot of size advantage. Lauren Walsh, not one of the girls that has a size advantage, but going down this line chart, Taylor Horton at 5'9", Grushaw at 5'6". They just have a lot of height out there. They have 5'9" Marzario, Andy Ladon at 5'11", towering over this Bulldog team that they have a couple players at 5'4", 5'5", 5'6". But the Bulldogs have been really up to the task all night long, not shying away from contact. They go in hard, they go in physical, especially on their forechecks, which for both teams have been quite effective here tonight in disrupting the play. They go in quite physically, and they don't shy away from that kind of contact.
As we've seen consistently throughout the season, players like Zupont and Martini, Maddie Murray, really strong in their skates. Even though they might not be the biggest players, they have a low center of gravity. They're able to keep their skates, keep moving around the players, and just get in there with those bigger players.
Yep, and they're certainly able to use their size, or rather their lack of size. Generally, correct me if I'm wrong, generally the smaller you are, you tend to be a little bit quicker, right? Lynn Kennedy, very speedy out there on the ice, has used her speed to her advantage a couple times tonight. We're going to go back now and take a look at the 2 goals that occurred in the first period of play. The first one coming from the Bulldogs about 5 minutes in play. It came from Kate Martini, but off of the first attempt by Lynn Kennedy. You see her there. Big rebound goes up to Martini, gets 1 shot in, and finally is able to convert on that second shot. That was part of a 4-shot effort from Martini. And here in super slow motion is just that deflection from Mankey. Unfortunate for Leonoff. She was committed one way, and Mankey was able to just get that slow, agonizing tip in, and all Leonoff could do was watch that one trickle off to her right.
Looking at those 2 goals, that RPI goal, that was really lucky for RPI that goal went in. Yale had a really nice play on their goal. Yeah. Martini followed in her own rebound and just shoved it right in the back of the net. Mankey got lucky on that tip. That could have gone anywhere in the rink.
It's sort of been the story of the Bulldogs season. They've played well really all season long, but have been unlucky in a number of games. I want to say 4 of their 12 losses in the ECAC have come, I think, either by 1 goal or from games that they were leading at some point. In the last game against Quinnipiac, they were up 2-1 until the final minute of play. They conceded the game-tying goal in the last 35 seconds, I believe. In the Dartmouth game, it was a 3-2 game until the Bulldogs pulled Leonoff to get that extra skater on the ice. Big Green able to put away for a 4-2 victory. But, you go down this schedule for the Bulldogs, and they have been in almost every single game. And just more often than not, the puck has bounced the wrong way. As we're now underway, Ingalls Rink, third period of play. 20 minutes to go in regulation. High and off the boards by Martini. Couldn't quite clear the zone. Kept in play. shot by Svoboda is deflected easily by Leonov, who just covers it right up.
It's always great to watch Leonov play because she always seems to have this composure about her where she knows where the puck is, where the puck's going, and when to come in and out of her net and off the goal line.
We'll take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Games of note, Dartmouth right now clinging to a 3-2 lead over Colgate. Colgate has stormed back. They went down by 3 at one point. Another interesting game, Princeton and Clarkson knotted up at 1. They're just about to start the third period of play over at Clarkson. We'll keep you guys updated on those games.
You know, Paul, even looking at the men's ice hockey game, right now they're tied 1-1 with Union. This is a really big game for them, especially since they're trying to get a bye in the playoff series.
Yeah, a bye would be huge for this Bulldog team. They certainly could use the rest, as their goalie Malcolm's been out for a few games with an injury. I think if he's not back tonight, he should be back relatively soon. You were saying to me, is that shot on the wraparound? Leonov is able to stop that and get her glove on top of it, but then a lot of contact in on her after the whistle was blown. Officials in there quickly to stop it down. We see it again on replay, but for this men's team, you know, I'm sure Malcolm and the rest of this Bulldogs team could use that first round bye to rest up, recuperate, as it's going to be Maricic who has to start again tonight. He played in that Quinnipiac game last week as well. So we'll keep you guys up to date on that one as well. Right now, back in Ingles, a weird clearance there, just gets caught up on the netting backside of Leonov's net with Sanders.
You know, it's always a point of contention, Paul, here up in the press box. When the puck bounces behind the net, Ingles has really weird boards where the rebounds off the boards come way out in front of the net.
Yeah, a couple times you see a hard shot ricochet all the way back in front of the goalie's net. I mean, they have to be very aware all the time on any shot, even if it's well wide of their net, because that could quite easily come right back in on them. This puck now back behind the boards, gathered by Murray, pursued by Lauren Wash. A hard forecheck from Wash. Again, quite aggressive as both players go down behind Leonov's net. It's been the case all game long.
There will be a delayed penalty on the Engineers.
Hard challenge from Wash, I believe. Yes, she's going to be the one headed to the box for that check against Murray. Third penalty of the night against Rensselaer. Again, they average 5. We've seen 1 a period, basically. For the Bulldogs, all their power plays have come early on in the period. So far, they're 0 for 2. We'll see what they can get going now on their third chance of the night. Their last penalty, power play rather, they couldn't get a single shot in on net on O'Brien, but they had a few that were deflected.
This could be a huge momentum change for the Bulldogs, Paul, if they're able to capitalize on this power play opportunity.
Moncion changes places with Martini, brings it on the far side. That shot, and there's in the back of the net. Ferraro with the score. What a pass from Moncion. Goes to her left, and a beautiful feed finds Ferraro. Weren't sure how much she was going to play, but in the end picks up her 7th goal of the season. Again, on the replay, a fantastic shot. I believe actually didn't even hit Ferraro. It was off the redirect. We'll see who they credit it to, but it looked on that replay that it probably was Moncion who deserves that goal.
And that would be Moncion's first goal of the season, her 10th career goal. Great play by Moncion, coming around the outside of the face-off circle and just ripping that one on net.
And they do credit to Danny Moncion. It's funny, Adlon, because you and I, before the game, we were looking at the stats and we go, Danny doesn't have a single goal on the season. We were a bit surprised. Not the case anymore. She picked up fantastic time to get her first goal of the season. Bulldogs just 10 seconds into that power play, you know, finally convert. 1 for 3 on the night on the power play, and they're up 2-1 right now. 17:23 remaining in the third period.
It's a very well-deserved goal by Danny, putting the Bulldogs up now 2-1. As I was saying earlier, this could be a huge game changer for the Bulldogs. If they're able to keep this lead, they will earn this win against RPI.
You're looking like a genius right now, Adlon, with that prophecy. A great shot by Moncion, beautifully placed. She had a lot of space and just put a nice amount of power behind it. Just O'Brien didn't stand a chance right there. Right into the side corner, just inside the post. We'll see how RPI can respond after conceding that goal. They did a good job in the first period fighting back and taking over the possession after they gave up their first goal just 5 minutes in. Horton now carries it in, the captain for this Engineer team. That shot deflected off the skate of Gray. Sticks with Horton. Tries to get it in on Leonoff again. Couldn't find the stick of Svoboda. Instead, it comes to Farrar and now up to Haddad. Haddad looking for some help. Stuck right now on the near boards. It's going to go back to Sanders and the Engineers. She carries it in the offensive zone, pursued by Kennedy, in on Leonoff, but couldn't wrap her stick around and get that shot in on Leonoff. She went down hard. Far boards now with Middlebrook. Tied up right on the netting again behind Leonoff. Comes instead to her left. A dangerous feed there. Couldn't find an Engineer player right in front of the goal. Bulldogs look to get the clear. Instead it comes to Mankey on the near boards. That shot deflected off the back of the net again for Leonoff. The back of Leonoff's net has seen the most action so far for her. That shot deflected by Gray, who loses her stick in the process of trying to win it back. Then Kennedy in on the defense. Now as it comes to Aurora Kennedy, 15:38 to go. Up high off the glass, and somehow it comes all the way to Ostrom. Good play from her, couldn't find the stick of Haddad, but a big play from Ostrom, trying to get the Bulldogs up another goal at Ingalls. Now with Daniels trying to restart this offense for an Engineer team that has gone quiet to start this third period. Smelker carries it in the offensive zone, far side. Big rebound given up by Leonoff and trickles into the back of the net. Tough goal to give up. Leonoff made the save initially. I'm not sure whether it was touched again or off a spin or something, but trickled just behind Leonoff. We're going to take a second look at it now. It's Smelker who brings it over on the far side to Middlebrook. Leonoff makes that save initially, but just couldn't get enough of that to keep it out of the net. And right now, a 2-2 game. This takes all the wind out of the sails for this Bulldog team.
That was a really tough shot there from just over the blue line. Leonoff having problems tracking that puck. Good job of the initial save, just trickled over her stick. Now 2-2 here at Ingalls. Momentum has changed back in RPI's favor as they have evened it out. Less than 15 minutes left to play.
You know, this is starting to remind me of that last time these two teams met back on December 8th. Rensselaer took that game 4-3. That was a back and forth game with the Bulldogs scoring first, giving up the game-time goal. They scored again, gave up a game-time goal, and they scored again, went up 3-2, and then conceded 2 late goals to lose 4-3. Looks the same here. This RPI team does a fantastic job battling back and never giving up.
I mean, looking at some of their stats, Paul, the Bulldogs consistently score 1.38 goals per game, RPI 2.13, so they're both really close to their averages here.
One thing that's a little bit worrisome, the Bulldogs only have 12 shots in on net. Here comes Zupan on a 3-on-1. Zupan just lost that puck off of her stick, missed opportunity for the Bulldogs. Bulldogs trailing the shot total 12-24 right now. They only average just under 20, but a little short of that right now. Comes on the far side and Walsh. Walsh carries the breakout for the Engineers, but Matichuk and Kennedy in to pursue it, but Walsh carries it right through. A diving play by her, couldn't keep the puck for the Engineers. Tomomoto on their clear up to Monsignor. Lost her edge. We'll get an icing call, I believe, with 13:49 to go. Puck's going to go back towards Leonoff. Dartmouth still up 3-2 against Colgate. And Princeton now up 2-1 against Clarkson. That would be a big win for Princeton. We'll see if just 4 minutes into that game. We'll see how that one plays out up at Clarkson. And the men now are trailing 2-1 at Union. So the plot thickens all around for both the men and the women. Kennedy lost the puck to Grushaw. Grushaw dumps it back. Monsignor able to skate there first as it comes now with Tomimoto. Off the boards, tried to find Matichuk. Kennedy evades Grushaw. Lost her stick, but still able to carry the zone. Comes now with Lynn Kennedy. Does a good job evading her defender. Another hard shot off Kennedy. This time deflected by O'Brien. Big rebound, couldn't find the stick of a Bulldog. Murray pushes her defender into the boards. No penalty called against her there. Comes over to Daniels, who carries the zone. Pursued by Haddad. Tried to split her two defenders and get a centering feed in there, but deflected nicely by the Bulldogs. Up to Haddad. Tried to find Ustrom, but sniffed out nicely by Horton. Back now to Daniels. Misplayed it off of her stick, but lucky for the Engineers, it went right up to another RPI player. Now to Horton. Skates right through Murray. Nice move by her. Horton in on Leanoff. Shot deflected by Gray, but dumped back into the slot. That shot took a deflection wide of Leanoff. Swoboda evades one defender. Shot wide there. Up to Dunbar. Off the boards. Couldn't get the clear. Swoboda has it now for the Engineers. Back behind Leanoff, right in front of Leanoff. This time Swoboda in hard, charges into Leanoff. We get the stoppage of play. Leanoff again out strong to deny a wide open opportunity for Swoboda.
That was not a very good play for the Bulldogs, as there are 3 RPI players in front of the net. Defense are tying up 2 as Swoboda comes in physically on Leanoff.
Leanoff again stepping up as a defender, coming out big and just shutting down before Swoboda had the opportunity to really pick a spot in the goal to try to slot that shot past Leanoff.
Literally, it's like Leanoff is a third defenseman sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible the stuff she's been asked to do so far this season and here tonight. That's the second time she's done that tonight. Decker, hard charge from her, is able to disrupt the play. Magali in there as well, fighting for it. 11:32 to go. Over to Middlebrook. LaDon has it now, trying to get a pass there, and it somehow works out. Gets to Saunders, who carries his own. Lucky bounce for RPI. This time sticked aside by Leanoff. Comes up to Tomimoto. Now to Decker. Just lets this one clear the zone. And Richel, the official, has been caught a little monkey in the middle. Just couldn't seem to get out of the way of that puck. Another turnover, finds Grusha on the far side. That shot finds the back of the net. Score for the Engineers. They have taken the lead now 3-2. 10:54 remaining.
What a different kind of play from the Engineers. Their previous 2 goals coming off of weird tips, either off an RPI player or just off Leanoff, but that was just a straight shot from the faceoff dot. Finds the opposite corner of the net, right into the back of the net.
Lexa Grusha, I believe, was the one who got that goal, her 11th goal of the season. And you got to say, you're right, that was a very nice goal from her. A lot of power, great placement, just a well-placed shot from her. And right now it's RPI up 3-2. The Bulldogs need to try to get back into this game. Since their second goal, they've gone a bit quiet. This RPI team coming out hot. Over to Banks now. This shot deflected wide by Leanoff. Kennedy fights for it. Tied up with Smelker. Bulldogs have a little over 10 minutes to get back into this game. A loss here would be put a big damper on their playoff hopes. We're going to get a stoppage of play as Roar Kennedy goes down. We're going to get a face-off, I believe, upcoming. 10:14 to go. But a loss here really just makes it, that path to the final playoff spot, that much more difficult. And, the window starts to close a little bit more.
It will be very difficult to come back from this. The Bulldogs are not able to put a couple more goals in the net, as they'll have to win pretty much the remainder of their conference games. They have 4 more conference games in the next 11 days.
Yeah, we talked about it. You got to think the Bulldogs need 5 points. If they can get to 13 points, I think they have a good chance of making it into the playoffs. We look at the remaining schedule. They have Union, obviously, tomorrow, Quinnipiac and Princeton. Those games all at home, and then they finally end the season on the 26th at Harvard. Harvard currently 3rd in the division in the ECAC, Quinnipiac 4th. So those are going to be very tough games. You got to think Princeton's a winnable game. Union obviously winnable, but they need 5 points. You just don't think 4 is going to do it.
No, 4 will not be enough, Paul, to make it to that playoff series.
You don't sound too optimistic over there, Adlon. I mean, it's looking a little dire here right now. 9:55 to go. Still plenty of time for the Bulldogs to get back in it. They need to quiet down this RPI offense that has just exploded in the last 8 minutes. Since really the Bulldogs scored that second goal, the Engineers woke up and have just been peppering Leonoff with shots. There's another one pushed wide by her pad. Tomimoto evades 3 defenders. Couldn't get past Saunders, though. And she's just being hounded. Again, another turnover by this Bulldog team. As there's a shot just wide. A lot of action right in front of Leonoff. Lucky for her, that one was just wide.
Looks like there's an RPI player down right behind Yale's net. Talking about earlier, this game has gotten pretty chippy. Saw a couple of those fights. There's the shot that just goes wide of the net and back up into the netting.
And you mentioned it, this game getting a bit chippy. We missed it. Danny Montion currently serving a 2-minute penalty. Completely lost that one there. They're 28 seconds into that one. So right now, the Bulldogs on their 3rd penalty kill of the evening. They're 2 for 2 so far. But really just, valuable time slipping off the clock. It comes to Daniels. That shot just wide. Shot coming from Smelker. Comes back over to Daniels, able to keep the zone. But Zupan, fantastic job by her, clearing the zone, now fighting for it in neutral ice. It's Matichuk skating down on it. Good hard forecheck from Lynn Kennedy, just disrupting the offensive rhythm of this Engineer team. 50 seconds remaining here on the penalty kill for the Bulldogs. Horton carries it into the offensive zone. Back behind Leonoff's net. Leaves it for Godin. Daniels look for the shot, off a deflection, just wide of Leonoff. Godin. There's another shot, this time deflected nicely by Haddad. Back to Godin, over to Daniels. Daniels looks to get it in the feed. She does, right in front of Leonoff's net. A diving save from Leonoff. Wow, what a save from Leonoff. Denying Smelker right on the doorstep. A little bit chippy after that, but a huge save from Leonoff.
I think that play right there really demonstrated Leonoff's athletic abilities. She just laid out flat on the ice, throwing her arm back behind her. You see Kennedy just getting peeved off with the Engineer girls in the corner.
A huge save from Leonoff, though, as Smelker, I believe it was sitting right on her doorstep. Leonoff, though, diving back behind her head with her glove, somehow manages to keep that one from going into the back of the net. Godin now on the near side. Over to Marzario. Godin again. This shot deflected by Martini right in front of Leonoff. Back to Marzario. Over to LaDon. Lost it off of her stick. And with that, the penalty has been killed successfully. Montion back on the ice. You really got to credit that penalty kill to Jamie Leonoff. What a save from her. Fancy stick work there. Gets right by Matichuk. Sanders has it now for RPI. Scoots back to Marzario. Good passing here from RPI, able to just find the sticks of their players. Gets it right into the slot, but the Bulldogs closing down when necessary. Able to get the clear there now with 7:22 remaining. Bulldogs trailed by 1, 3-2. After what's been a very active third period, we've seen 3 goals so far, 1 from the Bulldogs and then 2 unanswered from this Engineer team to take their first lead of the game. Comes back now to Jamie Gray. That shot deflected. McGauley has a chance to get it. Decker taken down before she can get her stick on it. Walsh carries it into the zone, tries to stop and cut in on Leonoff. Now with Daniels. Pursued by Decker. That shot, I believe, took a deflection off of the arm of Decker. And it comes with McGauley. He's going to fire this one back to the left of O'Brien. Dunbar in on the chase. 6:30 to go here at Ingles Rink. Bulldogs trail by 1. Tomimoto gets a shot as she's falling back. Couldn't get a lot of mustard behind that. Roar Kennedy keeps the zone. Dumps it in, trying to find Haddad. Instead it goes to Smelker. Smelker still has it for RPI, over to Daniels. Fancy play from Smelker is able to gain the zone for RPI. She goes hard into the boards. We have Tomimoto and Lynn Kennedy both fighting for the puck. It's going to remain with Smelker. Very tenacious play from her. Not going to give that puck up easily, that's for sure. Middlebrook now wasn't able to hold on the puck. Here come the Bulldogs, and Ostrom tried to get through Ladon. Haddad had a chance. There's a shot from Ostrom just wide of O'Brien. Good look from her. This puck's going to go all the way back towards Leonoff. 5:20 to go. Kennedy trying to get that puck to Monsignor. Shot off of the skate of Aurora Kennedy for an own goal. You know, the bad bounces continue here at Ingles Rink for Yale. Off of the initial save, just caught the back heel of Aurora Kennedy and skitters into the back of the net. Bulldogs now down by 2, 5:08 to go.
That was just an unlucky break for the Bulldogs. Yet again, another really weird bounce against the Bulldogs. They have not been lucky with them so far.
They really haven't. Very few have gone their way here tonight. Good news, though, Dartmouth still beating Colgate 3-2, and we could take a little bit solace in that. Princeton's up 2-1. That's not a critical failure if Princeton does win. It's really Colgate you got to focus on. Colgate will still be in 8th place after tonight with 11 points. Bulldogs currently sitting at 8. It looks like they may remain at that total as they now trail by 2 with 4:30 remaining. You got to hand it to this RPI team, though. Since they gave up that second goal, they have really just exploded out of the gate. Yes, they've been lucky a few times, but you got to credit them with their passing and just putting a number of looks in right on Leonoff, making it very difficult for her and the rest of the defense to try to clear that slot. Here they come again with Grushaw. Tomimoto in this time to break it up. Now to Magali, up to Dunbar. Dunbar all by herself is just going to dump this behind O'Brien. Chase it down herself, couldn't get there. Smelker gathers it up for the Engineers. This shot off the chest protector of Leonoff. Cross-eyes pass finds the stick of Dunbar, but hard challenge by Sanders. Sanders in again on Leonoff. Leonoff, another big save from her.
Great save by Leonoff. This time not letting anything leave her glove or her pads. Nice job on her angles as you watch that shot yet again. Leonoff just cutting off everything from Sanders.
Shot total is now 32 for RPI, 13 for Yale. Leonoff at 28 shots on the evening. Another big night, active night for her. Far from over as we still have 3:15 to go. Ostrom up to Haddad. Haddad couldn't push that off of her skate. Martini gathers the puck up for the Bulldogs. High off the boards. Comes down right in front of Lynn Kennedy, who pursues it along with Ostrom. Horton couldn't gather the puck. Haddad in there as well to fight. Horton has it now for RPI. Up to Svoboda. Wash has it. A centering feed there. Found the stick of Horton, but all she did was dump it back to Wash. Has it right there on the left of your screen. Monsignor in hard to try to break up that play. She does a good job of that as it's going to come out now with Murray. Murray's got all sorts of space. Elects for a long pass broken up by RPI before it can get to its intended target. Now to Godin. Over to Smelker. Smelker's been quite active here in the third period. She's been stuffed a few times by Leonoff, but, a couple of good looks from her. 1:45 to go. Bulldogs need to try to get some goal back. Took a weird deflection off of the glass right in front of the bench. It's Decker and Dunbar. Bit of a hole there from Decker. You see her slam her stick in frustration. Thought she was going to be able to avoid that call, but not so. Going to be on the defensive yet again for Yale. 4th penalty kill of the evening. This one going against Decker. She's going to be in there for the remainder of the game. 1:35 to go here in the 3rd period. Bulldogs are going to look like they're going to finish this game out down a skater.
Kind of a disappointing night for the Bulldogs, especially going up so early in the 1st period and then going up again on the power play. Just to have a couple bad bounces and now this penalty here within the last 2 minutes of play.
Yeah, Bulldogs, they came out strong, you're right, to start the 1st and the 3rd. And that shot's going to be deflected by Haddad as she goes down on all fours to get in the way of that one. They open up strong, this Bulldog team, and then this RPI team seems to find its footing and come out firing. You can't really blame the Bulldogs so much as you just have to compliment this RPI team for just putting on the pressure, shot after shot. We see another one right in front of Leonoff as, you know, the shots in front of her have just picked up exponentially. Within 1 minute until the final whistle here at Ingles Rink, Tomimoto is going to dish this one up through center ice. Picked off by Daniels. Godin now has it. 40 seconds to go in the game. 1:03 remaining on the penalty kill for those of you that are interested. Grushar over. Pursued by Lynn Kennedy. There's another big centering feed there just wide of Leonoff. I believe they had Leonoff beaten there, but just a bit wide of Leonoff's net. 18 to play. It's Godin again over to Grushaw. Grushaw had a little trouble keeping the puck on her stick. Right now to the right of Leonoff. Over to Godin. 7 to play. One final shot, this time deflected. Another shot deflected again by Haddad. Up and off the boards. And that'll end the game here at Ingles Rink. A tough game for the Bulldogs. Went up early with a 1-0 lead, courtesy of a Kate Martini goal. Tied it up 1-1 into the 3rd period. It was a 1-1 game. 5 goals here in the 3rd period. The first coming from the Bulldogs, with the last 3, rather 4-goal period, last 3 coming all from RPI, as Rensselaer's going to take it 4-2, further extending their hold on that 7th and final playoff spot in the ECAC standings. For the Bulldogs, they sit at 10th place still at 8 points, 3 points behind Colgate, who looks like they're going to stick at 11 points. So not completely out of it for the Bulldogs, but definitely a big loss tonight, a disheartening loss for this Bulldog team.
Just on your instant replay, here going over the goals, Kate Martini, Mankey, Monsian, and trickling over, I believe it was Grushaw. Another one there, straight up shot from the face-off. Just an overview of the 4 goals by RPI, 2 by Yale. That one going off of Aurora Kennedy's skate as the final goal for the Engineers. This is Adlon Adams for Paul Wasserman. Thank you so much for joining us here on Yale All Access. We'll be back for tomorrow's game at 4 o'clock.
Have a great night, folks, and have a happy belated Valentine's Day.